What you gonna do, brother, when Jeff Townsend Media runs wild on you?
Don't let mama regret. Give your love and your sweat to the shadow.
All right. This is Jeff Townsend, and with me, of course, is the man, the myth, the legend, the Bill DeMott, the orange. What are you holding right there? An orange?
It's a what do they call it? Stress ball.
Stress ball. Okay. Well, no,
I'm in Florida, so it's in the shape of an orange.
Knowing you just smash a an orange, call it a stress ball. So
yeah, I have a unique ability to ruin a stress ball in one squeeze.
that is a very special thing, Bill DeMott. I'm getting some messages sent out because we are live across 8 different platforms all across social media right now for yet another episode, the Bill DeMott Experience, BDE. Okay, we're getting some things thrown up here, some error messages. So one of the streaming services might be having issues, but we're just going to keep going. So, Bill, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing? We talked offline, and me, I'm a student of noticing things, and I saw your sweatshirt, so I was asking how the weather was.
Oh yeah. Indiana has cooled back down. I had to tell Bill it's not 60, 70 degrees. I don't actually know. It may have got 71 day, but point being, it has went down. So
I got to come back up to that
what's
area.
the temperature like there?
88.
88 already.
88 this morning. Literally, there was a warm breeze that you leave your house and my glasses just fogged up from the coolness in the house and outside. And
88 freaking degrees.
Yeah.
That is
Some people are waiting for spring, and we're blowing summer here.
That's how they do it down in Florida. It's the dirty South, I guess I'll call it.
That's how we do it in the dirty South.
On the agenda today, we have WrestleMania predictions, of course, and we'll end things with On This Day in Pro Wrestling History like we do. Bill loves that, so
I do
keep going for him. But Bill, before we jump into all things WWE, because I think the majority, like we talked about, of our listeners probably watch WWE more than the competition.
Yeah, I'd say it's a fair assessment.
But Vince McMahon's mustache, I don't think it's the real Vince McMahon. I wouldn't think so. I guess we don't really know. But on Twitter, Vince McMahon's mustache sent us a video, and I'm going to share it. He wanted to know what you think about it. We'll kick things off with that. Let me try to get it pulled up here. We'll discuss that. I thought this was because we talk about this all the time, and we often share things that the Wrestling Observer has covered.
Right.
Long history I've had with Dave Meltzer blocking me on social media, but I am a Brian Alvarez fan.
Right.
And I think if we talked about AEW and the lack of storylines, as time has progressed across different news outlets, I think even the Wrestling Observer guys, not Dave Meltzer, because AEW does no wrong,
right,
Dave Meltzer, but everybody's starting to catch on with this common theme of maybe no stories, we're just kind of relying on the wrestling. So,
yeah.
But even these guys are buying in now, so.
And I think one of the things about AEW is, whether it's a mystery or whether they're just planting seeds, I think that they need more stuff like that. And I don't think right now we have anything like that. I don't think we have anything where you got to tune in the next week for the latest clue or twist or turn or whatever. But what is you must see? You've got to tune in to see this. You've got to tune in to see that. I think that we're missing that.
I'll say this. I used to think that I just wanted to watch good wrestling matches. And as much as AEW has good wrestling matches, it's missing something for me. And I quit WWE a while back because it just wasn't compelling to me. I'm starting to lose a little bit of my interest in AEW now. And it's not that the wrestling's bad, it's that they don't have the stories to go along with the wrestling.
I used to get upset when people said there were no stories in for example, AEW, because a good wrestling match is a good story.
That's fair.
And that's how I feel. But yes, especially, I can't believe this next conversation is about to come out of my mouth, but since I started watching TNA again, and I kind of reminded how when a match ends, you should be excited, not just for what you just watched, but it should make you excited for something else in some way. Either this guy wins this time he gets a title match, or this guy wins so he gets a new challenger, or this guy loses so he's mad at his partner, or something. But when the match ends, it should lead to something else down the road. It's honestly, a lot of what we see in AEW is how when I lost interest in UFC, because the actual sport of mixed martial arts does not excite me very much. And I would, at one point I watched a show and there were 7 fights on. I was like, okay, I don't care about any of that. And none of it led to anything. It was meaningless stuff. And that is how a lot of AEW shows go. Only I like the action better. And I keep going back to that awesome trios match on Rampage like 2 months ago now with Top Flight and Penta and Vikingo and I think Commander was in it. And it was awesome. Just great. And it happened. And it's there. And you go back and watch it, look it up if you want to, but it didn't mean anything.
I feel like without the
really strange voice in the middle, it was a little scary.
The Craig guy. Yeah.
Craig's a little.
But you and I have said this from Jump Street and listening to trying to listen to a lot more podcasting, during the day and a lot of people who are over in the wrestling community and stuff. That's what listen, they've had 5 years to figure it out. And now you've got some of the best, lack of a better term, storytellers there have been in the past 10 years on your roster, and you're not doing anything with it. This could certainly be the whole episode and go down this rabbit hole right now, but they're not going to get any argument from me. But to your point, I think people are starting to publicly come out and say, okay, it's time for more, because we've seen, we got the hook in our mouth for a bunch of years now, and now it's time to fish or cut bait, because it's the same. For years people could say I didn't need to watch WWE because you could turn on and be caught up the next week. It didn't matter. And it's the same thing AEW now. It's just whirlwind wrestling.
See the questions across social media. I'm seeing some TikTok stuff. Yeah, we're going to jump into WrestleMania. We're kicking things off with AEW here.
Yeah.
And the clip I shared, I found so interesting because these guys, primarily for the most part, are diehard AEW.
Yeah.
And like you said, 5 years down the road now, it's very evident that there's just a lack of storytelling. And I thought, Vinny, you said, a good match is a good story, which I do agree with that. But there has to be some substance behind it. And I think that's what a lot of people are starting to realize. And that's just maybe they have the best wrestlers in the world on that show. Arguably, but they skills, technically speaking, best wrestlers from around the world on that show. And the substance of the storylines just aren't there. Yeah. How many times do you want to watch these matches? How many times do you want to watch Bryan Danielson and insert whoever, But I think that started to become very evident, man.
Yeah, it's when you start, when people start, verbally and publicly saying, listen, there needs to be more. I'll go one step further and go, I feel like a few that they've started a storyline with have just dropped and moved on to something else. And I'll use, and we say it all the time, I'll use Deanna Purrazzo and Tony Storm. There was a story, now it's just dissipated, and now, everybody's doing something else, and you can only throw darts at the dartboard for so long and try to hit the bullseye. To your point, there's some really great guys. Now I'm not even excited to see Will Ospreay come out. Now that's a build up for Ospreay and Danielson comes out. It's kind of the same interview every time. It's kind of the, I think it's a little force fed, but they got some amazing talent and just no follow up. And for people that are trying to get hip to it, I'll use last night. Like, if you don't know who Shibata or these guys are, you're not interested in the matches they're having.
Yeah, that's fair.
And where's it going to go from there? What's it going to, you know what I mean? Here you got Okada in a B-roll watching the Bucks. There's just so much room for these guys, and they're their one and only storyline that I can think of in Edge and Christian. Edge came out and said, Adam Copeland came out and said, it's time to move on from this. Holy cow, what the heck?
Yeah, put that one away soon. Yeah, the way they approached that particular story was interesting. I want to say it dragged out long, but I want to really think about it compared to some stories. I guess it didn't. It was just the way it was done. It's a little bit different, but yeah, man, they're just not there. I didn't plan on spending a whole lot of time on this one.
Yeah.
I found that discussion very interesting when it was sent to me.
Yeah, and I think, so take the positives out of it. Hats off to TNA that they're starting to get that kind of following to it, and People starting to see that what they're doing is working. But yeah, I think it's always going to be a topic of conversation every week with all the wrestling that goes on during the week. I'm sure it's going to be a topic that's not going to go away.
I'm just a small time content creator and local media guy. But for me, though, I think it's important that, and really the best, even like sports, have compelling stories, right?
Yeah.
Like a good rival, a good history between the teams, a certain situation that they're in. I mean, something.
Yeah.
I think that's, I mean, even if it's Taylor Swift being in the, I mean, those are little things inside the story to make it intriguing. Then again, you had one of the most watched Super Bowls ever.
Right.
But I think that is important. So if we look at wrestling as if it's just purely a sport, like a lot of people want to do, I still would argue that the best sports have those compelling stories. And that's certainly the case with UFC. And I get into this discussion all the time. It seems like sometimes they just don't want to fight.
Right.
Then I start thinking, well, why would you want to fight? You're fighting just to fight. So I think some of the best fights in UFC are the ones that have stories behind them.
Right. When there's something on the line. Yeah.
Of course, they try to force the story. I mean, they got to do what they got to do. But I think that's the same way with all sports, man. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I don't disagree at all with that. There has to be something to keep you interested or get you interested.
Yeah. Let's see what we got going on here. Got a lot of questions stuff coming on now.
Bring the questions. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
Okay. A lot of the questions are saying, why do you think it took so long for wrestling journalists, is how they phrased it, to pick up on this? And why do we think the wrestling journalists tend to favor AEW?
Well, because and to me, this what I'm about to say only goes for so long. They're the new kid on the block, right? They're the fresh thing, but they're not fresh anymore. And I think the new thing, because you have options, and when you have options, that people, you try to tend to bring that option up. And I think everybody wanted to raise AEW up so much to equal WWE so fast that they were willing to sacrifice content and believability and all these things that they've watched for so many years. I really believe that everybody jumped on the AEW bandwagon to try to make it a major player when they weren't ready then, and they're still not ready now. So I think everybody's starting to go, listen, I can only talk about this so much, and now you're not giving me anything. Like, if you're not giving anybody that great content or that thing to talk about, and if everybody's now start talking about the same thing, I always go back to it's either a hell of a mutiny or everybody can't be wrong. But after a while, you give it that buffer zone, and AEW, I think, had a 5-year buffer zone to try to equal the WWE. And I think they're starting to see that it's not what they hoped for. It's what they like, but it's not something they're going to sink their teeth into every week.
I think the most obvious thing is, I'm getting my phone blowing up too at this point in time. I think the most obvious reason you didn't state why they like them is because they give them information.
Well, I try to stay strictly with the content that everybody sees, right?
Yeah.
AEW, but let's face it, AEW and Tony Khan are very open to the media, and
those, I think they might rumor and individual might add a little bit more on there.
Yeah. Whereas even I'll say even TNA and WWE don't need to do that, and they kind of pick and choose their spots when to let people in. AEW let everybody in, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm in the know now." Everybody was in the know. Everybody was hip to the new thing. But now the new thing's it's not so new anymore, and it's not that compelling.
And I got a lot of other comments here talking about how they followed the same formula as WCW in regards to bringing in WWE talent.
Yep.
WWF talent.
And you hear it on a weekly basis.
Is there a fine line to make that work? I mean, how much what's the rules like that? I mean, obviously there's no rules, but what would work with that? What's too much? What's too little? I guess it depends what you do with them, right?
Yeah. It really depends what you do with them. And at the time, WCW wasn't juggling the roster that AEW was juggling before they started bringing in WWE, wrestlers, personalities, characters, things like that. So AEW had enough people. I mean, they had to believe because they had 3 shows before they ever started signing the bigger names and all these things, and they still didn't know what to do. So I just think I think I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a learning process.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to start making some like thumbprint decisions going, okay, we have to do this. That means we're going to have to let him, her go. We're going to have to start doing this. We're going to have to stop putting our stock into 42 belts that don't mean anything. And I know they just took away the trios, or not the trios championship, the other one. And I just think they tried to do too much too soon. And then let's be honest, the fallback to any wrestling company is when things aren't going the way you want to, let's bring in the people that are making it happen somewhere else. Except now you're adding them to a ship that's already taking on water, in my opinion, and they can only clog that hole for so long.
It's already taking on water, you're saying. You're going to catch some heat for that, you know.
I'm going to catch some heat for that, and maybe it's a bad analogy or a bad statement. I'm not saying that AEW is going to tank in the near future. I just think their maiden voyage it's been cut short. I mean, it's really time to sink or swim with them, because you don't want to hear about all these people that are coming in and you're not drawing the fan base here. I think AEW probably would do extremely well internationally.
I think it does.
But without the live events here and you know, doing all the things that wrestling companies are doing, I think that's where they're struggling. So
I don't have any data in front of me, but I think it competes pretty well viewership wise with WWE in the UK and compared.
I believe they're probably a stronger international product than they are here in the States.
TNA used to really have that some good international.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I think maybe it's just because of the independent thing behind it, but yeah, I think it definitely has some. And obviously they're trying to branch out internationally speaking with the Wembley stuff, but man, they got to get the attendance under control, I guess. But here's the thing, right? If you rent out a big arena and you can't fill a quarter of it, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. You got to do remember ECW back in the day? You're like, Paul Heyman would get in these venues.
Yep.
Paul Heyman would get these venues that could hold, 1,000 people maybe.
Yep.
And dude, it would look like there was an insane amount of people here,
Standing room only.
Standing room only. They were falling from the ceiling. Dude, they're everywhere. But it was the presentation, right? And it's like when you watch AEW now, even though they're purposely shooting in a manner where you can't tell, but you can still tell, it's just not there. And you wonder from a live event standpoint how much longer they can maintain renting out these big arenas if they can't necessarily fill them. They did a good job in the Garden on that show that they really boosted. They did a good job with Sting's pay-per-view, his final match, the pay-per-view. But those are all things that go back to what Brian Alvarez was saying, things that they promoted, things that had a storyline. The Sting's last match storyline didn't have much substance, but it was his last match.
It was Sting's last match. Yep.
That was part of the story, right? You typically don't even get that much with the stories in AEW, but I think those kind of formulas have worked for them. It's just not something they go to well. And I don't know if that's just because, it's just Tony Khan trying to book everything, as we call it, Booker. I don't know if there's a committee there. I don't know how many people are involved with that decision-making from a creative standpoint. Or I think at the end of the day, Bill, it might just be, this is what Tony Khan likes.
I mean, and that's the thing. A lot of people have said it, and we've touched on it. If that's what Tony Khan likes and they can sustain that, then more power to you. You don't have to answer to anybody, and you really don't have to do anything. The flip side of it is the diehard AEW fans are the ones posting empty arenas, are the ones saying, hey, I was there and this wasn't good, or this reaction, this, and so they're starting to feel the wrath of the wrestling community, the fan base, right? That famous IWC, and they're starting to post the pictures. I notice that all the time now on the different platforms. They're posting pictures saying, well, this wasn't that good. And so now they've spent a lot of money changing their set. According to reports, they're spending a lot of money on talent that has just come in. And if you can't put asses in seats, how long are you willing to sustain that business model? So I guess as long as he has TV rights and things are going the way for Tony that he likes them, then good on you. And if that's what it is, then right on. If it keeps everybody busy, great. But you don't want to be known as the guy who just paid people to sit home and pay, because now you've got your talent speaking up and being disgruntled. Men, women, and otherwise. Announcers are disappearing, and all the things that weren't going to happen because this is not the WWE are happening because it happens in wrestling. And the one guy I think who has a great perspective on it is Eric Bischoff, a guy who went through this in the history of wrestling. And if he tells you that's the wrong business module, then you got to listen to that a little.
Agreed. We got about a little over 300 across all platforms listening live.
Yeah.
Chad Michaels trolling on you. Says AEW says every venue bill, 50K seats per show at least. He's just trying to get you going now.
Don't. I'm not even biting on it today, Chad Michael, but I appreciate you always being here. You're not getting me stirred. He's going to get me stirred up. I said he's not.
They're all 5-star match. So before we segue off of this topic, how did you like that final match between Edge and Christian? Was it fulfilling for you?
You know what? I'm fans of both those men. So they can't do any wrong in my eyes. And I think that goes for a lot of people who are fans of the business and of those two men in particular. They can't do no wrong. Was it a barn burner? I mean, did they get the same reaction in Tampa that they got in their hometown of, Toronto or something like that? So,
yeah.
It was booked properly, I think. Listen, I could never discredit someone's work ethic and what they do and everything. I thought the match was okay. To hear the Copeland challenge come back and go, it's just time to move on.
I'm trying to find it here. I didn't have it ready in time, but you and I actually spoke last night during the Dynamite.
Yeah.
I reached out to you and I asked how you felt about the Will Ospreay match.
Yeah.
There was a certain moment, I'm trying to find it here, where he hit his opponent with this devastating move. The opponent kicked out before the 1 count.
Yeah.
Got up, hit him with a pretty good move.
Yeah.
He kicked out before the 1 count. Ospreay immediately got up, hit him with even more devastating elbow, and he kicked out at 2.
Yeah.
What did you think about that sequence of events?
I think strong style works in certain parts of the world. And I think that's why people stay up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Japanese wrestling. And
that's strong style.
Years.
We're calling that strong style.
I don't know. That's what I think they call everything now in AEW, strong style. To me, there's no believability in that. So you send me that message. I'm crying. I'm laughing out loud while I'm watching the show. And then I'm watching 75 DDTs. And then I make a post about that. It's just, there's got to be a time when what wins? Who cares? If everybody's strong style and everybody can fight through everything, and if every man and every woman on that roster can do everything to everybody and nobody can win, is there a winner in these altercations? Is there a winner? What is the thing? Other than trying to entertain people for 2 hours.
Yeah, you don't know what you're fighting for necessarily.
You could only watch that for so long before. Now it's not, because everybody does it now. And here's my example. I watched Sky Blue last night.
Yeah.
Now, I thought Sky Blue was going to be a big player in AEW before this. Here's one of my favorite words: before this heel turn and this character change in the darkness and all this stuff. And now she's just another cog in the wheel. She's just someone who comes out and she's in between things. And it's just they lose the momentum on the ones that are going. Everybody they bring in starts out with such great momentum, and then there's not enough time, place, and meaning for them. And it's just, everything falls flat. Everything's the same.
Yeah, you can only see the same match so many times without different components.
What would happen, Jeff, if you and I said tonight on this episode, no one in the first 4 matches in AEW can throw a chop? What would happen?
They'd throw a chop the whole time? Then
we say the first 4 matches can't chop and the next 3 matches can't super kick.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things, and this is the thing, and I have a different perspective than some, because as a coach, as a someone who did it for 30 plus years, as an in-ring performer, behind the scenes, behind the camera, producer, head coach, running the system and all that. One of the things I always said to the younger talent and people trying to come in, who's on the card? If Chris Jericho's on the card and Chris Jericho's going to chop, no one else should be chopping, right? If the Bucks are on the thing, then everybody leaves super kicks alone till the Bucks match. Do whatever you want. The Bucks are going to throw 4,700, super kicks. If you take that stuff away from Eddie Kingston and all these other guys, then what are you going to do? No one can go to the outside until this specific match. What are you going to do? Everybody's on the outside. Everybody's doing the same thing everybody else is doing. So if I see one match, I've seen them all. I'm just seeing different body types. And that's the frustrating part as a wrestling fan. As someone who enjoys this business, that's the tough part. Because even if you try to watch as a fan, after a while, you gotta look at it and go, give me a reason to dig in here. Otherwise, listen, it's baseball season. It's opening day. Click.
Somebody's calling you the old guard on social media.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not old school, but new school mentality.
Well, we just showed the clip. Even the Wrestling Observer guys are.
Yeah, and it's. I'm not saying don't let anybody do this, but pick your spots. So every match isn't the same. It
needs to mean something in simple terms.
Yeah. And I get where people go, oh, that's old school thinking, and that's stuff doesn't work anymore. But if you watch what WWE is doing, that stuff works because you let the talent express their way, but still the blueprint stands true.
Hey, I'm with you, man, 100%. We'll go ahead and segue on to WWE then, since you just brought that up. WrestleMania weekend is next weekend. By the time we get obviously the viewership live, then we get the post viewership and listeners. So this will be the one they hear right before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk some WrestleMania predictions here. Let's just talk about the build up to it. How do you think the build up's been in this year? Just generally speaking, we'll get into the storylines, but are you feeling more excited than usual or normal, or you tell me?
No, I'm probably not in that WrestleMania mode. I'm definitely into a few matches that and probably more than a few as we talk about it. But WrestleMania has that hype. It's being built around one particular story, one particular thing. And so I think that's kind of overshadowing a lot of it. But it's WrestleMania, and WrestleMania does not disappoint. So I'm looking forward to WrestleMania weekend. I'm looking forward to both nights, as I always do. And but right now I think a lot of attention is in one general spot.
Yeah. AJ Kurtz from Tough Enough.
I love this. I owe him a phone call because I've been so busy this week. AJ's the man. Big shout out to Tumbleweed, my boy.
Man, he did cut that promo, man. That'll go down in history. We'll have to have him on when we actually do a deep dive. We did a deep dive into season 3. Yeah. We do a deep dive into the, I almost call it the revamp. I don't know how else to word it. The relaunch of Tough Enough. We'll have to have him on.
Yeah, good man.
Bill, obviously everybody's talking about The Rock involved in this. The Rock's made some great appearances leading up to this. Monday was no different. I mean, sometimes I think The Rock has a little bit of cheesiness to him, right? But he's kind of gone away from that, and he's just gone back to this, I'm just going to beat Cody Rhodes up. I'm going to beat his ass sort of thing, And that's what he did. Did you actually see the beatdown?
See, I saw the beatdown. I'm going to
fall asleep in your recliner before it got to it.
I'm gonna be completely honest and go, I didn't need that. If I wasn't hooked before, the fact that he came out, that grand entrance, got to the ring, said nothing, whispered, and walked away, that got him more heat than anything else he's done. So I feel like the beatdown was extra, to your point of the week before in Memphis, and I got why they did it in Memphis to sing along and all those other things. But I thought this past week was outstanding.
It's kind of like Hollywood Rock, isn't it?
Yeah, outstanding. I'm like, oh, he's got the whole world pissed up because everybody knew that Rocky was going to come out and have these great one-liners and he was going to drag him through the dirt again, and he didn't. And he just walked away, and I thought it was tremendous.
Yeah, it's good storytelling. Like you said, you think he's just going to come out, crack some Rock jokes, and Now, obviously, he's one of the best to ever do it. I'm not saying he's not, but that's what it kind of felt like he would do. Then you're right. Somehow people knew immediately what he was whispering. I don't really know how people knew that, but
The one thing I didn't like about the beatdown is when he looked directly in the camera at one point.
you don't like it when they do that?
I don't know. It took me out of the reality of it. We know listen, on Naked and Afraid, we know someone's filming it. Otherwise, we wouldn't see it. So in wrestling, we know they're filming it, but we also know the cameraman's not going to get involved. But when you look directly into it, you kind of, I don't know. It's that fine line of that entertainment and wrestling line. So it struck me personally a little odd. I could have done without it personally. I'm not saying it was bad, but I was hooked. I was like, okay, now I really, really want to see what they're going to do, because I thought that was tremendous. How he just walked out there, hands behind his back, buzzer, and left.
Final boss is Rock's. Oh yeah. The final boss thing is like symbolizing Rock's done playing. AJ's right.
Yeah,
that was a great drop, man. I just tell you, it was, to me, I liked it. It's what I think it needed it. It's you got the family aspect in it, right? That's good and all, but I think the physicality of it was just good. All jokes are done, and here we go. We don't actually know much about what's going to take place on what night at WrestleMania, but what we do know is there's going to be, I think the only thing I know of for night one would be the Bloodline, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins.
Right.
Bloodline wins. The championship match on night two will be Bloodline rules.
Right.
If Rhodes and Rollins win, the championship match on night two will have all members of the Bloodline banned from ringside. Let's sum that up pretty well.
Yeah, and the other match we know that's going to be night two is Seth and Drew.
And on night two, we know that. Then we know, obviously, the reverse of that will be Reigns and Rhodes.
Yeah.
Stipulation based, of course. Yeah, that's all we really know as far as, because somebody was asking, and I think it was on TikTok, what is night one? What is night two? That's all we really know right now.
I don't think they're letting, they haven't told anyone, right? They haven't kind of set the tone for it, because I saw Becky Lynch as she's doing her book tour. She's saying, I want to open Mania 40. So I think
it's not a bad spot to be in.
Yeah, I think it's good that we don't know. We know the two matches that you're going to be on the hook for on both nights, and they surround the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes both nights, and Seth Rollins, and then it adds Drew into the fold as well, and now apparently it adds CM Punk into the role. So,
how did you like CM Punk's segment on Raw? It went on a little long, but I really liked it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was good. I think it. So we know. I think if you're looking at it the way they built it, again, going back to storylines, they've set the tone now that no matter what happens, this is going to be a Punk McIntyre. This is not going to be a Rollins Punk. This is going to be a Punk McIntyre build-up. So Seth doesn't need to lose or win. Drew doesn't need to lose or win. And Punk just needs to be there, because now you can go one of two ways. I personally think they're going Punk McIntyre.
As soon as he's able, yeah. People keep talking about McIntyre's contract.
Yeah.
Dude, they're making plans for him for the next year. I'd say he's going to be hanging around.
And here's the thing. This thing is sold out. So you think, well, geez, if I'm Punk, do I need to be in this? Do I need to risk getting injured? Okay, what are we going to do with him after? Let's think of storyline. And then Punk's like, I'm in. And they have enough.
Almost over-teased the officiating, didn't they?
Yeah.
Crowd was going to go bonkers for that. He had to back off of that.
And so I really like that segment of the show. As people say, the inside stuff, daring Drew to say his name because of the Chosen One and all those little things.
Yeah.
That are said are meaningful, done in the right place in the right way.
Yeah. It was off the script. It was very loosely scripted.
Yes.
I mean, that was very, you guys go out, do your thing, and that's what they did.
Yeah. So I really, it's reality based. There's a reality to it. And if that's old guard, I'm going to be old guard till the day I don't want to watch the sport anymore. So I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I also felt like old guard Bill DeMott. We're going to change the show.
I'll tell you.
I was worried when Punk came out that Drew was going to get lost in this.
You mean when he came out like originally, or when he came out?
Yeah, when he came out the other night, because once Seth came out, I thought Drew was going to get lost in this shuffle, but it didn't go that way. I thought it was really well done. I thought, and I know I'm not like everybody else. I'm not caught up in how long they went or how it affected, if it went.
Well, it affected the rest of the show because they had to race through several segments after that. But that's part of it.
But why is that important to us as fans?
That's not. I would much rather watch that than what was after that. No offense to anybody that was after that.
Why are we so enamored at, times we're cutting people this and this match was going to happen? Like, how about you just shut the computer off and watch the show?
That's just some of us that are like that, right? I mean, it's not, as a whole, I don't think WWE's audience is
I don't
internet wrestling community, as you would call it, the IWC.
But I always find like that was the thing. People, these things were cut. Who cares? Who cares? I thought it was a great segment. I thought the show was good. I think they continue to. I think R-Truth should run for president. Side note.
He was on TikTok live earlier, rapping and singing, man. It was awesome.
Pretty much.
Golden truth, man. Let's talk about the breakdown of this. So,
okay,
who do you think wins night one between this match here, this tag team match?
I think Cody and Seth lose.
You think Cody and Seth lose, and why is that? Like, what would be the what would be the fallout of that?
Let me rephrase that. I think they'll lose. They'll win the match, but they'll lose because the final boss has the right to change the stipulations. If he's the final boss, stipulation is Cody wins, Bloodline is nowhere to be found. It's a straight up match. So I feel like Cody's going to win, but he's going to lose because the final boss is going to make sure that night 2 doesn't go the way that Cody wants it to go.
You're saying night 2 he loses?
No, I just said night 2.
He overcomes the odds.
He overcomes the odds, but the final boss is going to make sure that, I said Bloodline rules. I've never been part of the Bloodline, right? He never holds up the
Bloodline rules.
So
I don't know what that means. No DQ? Right. I mean, no.
Bloodline rules means anything goes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no DQ, yeah.
So I think Cody wins. They win the first night, but the final boss doesn't take that lying down, and he comes out and changes the stipulations for night 2, and then Cody overcomes the odds.
That's nice. Obviously, we'll talk more about a couple of these things next week, but by the time next week's comes out, it'll be post, so
yes,
it won't necessarily be relevant. But yeah, man, this is the big story. I think Rock coming back just throws a little bit of that needed fire, right? Some fuel on the fire, I guess is what I would say. And definitely, you felt like, wow, Punk's out. That really stinks. Had that huge comeback, the most viral social media thing WWE's ever been a part of. And then you have this after effect of it, like, what are you going to do once he gets hurt? And they've been able to recover from that while continuing his storyline, which is amazing. But to your point, how much do you use him? What do you do with him? I do think he's got to be a part of the big event just because he's CM Punk.
Yes.
I just don't know if it was in Chicago. I get that, right? I get that.
Yeah.
But I think any other time, just stick to what he's been doing, which is eating healthy. But I don't think he needs to be on commentary every night, even though he did do a great job. Remember that when he was on commentary for that? He was great. But
yeah, and I think it's in bits and pieces that keep everyone happy. And not that he needs to be kept relevant, but keeps Punk relevant. And okay, we don't have to wait 6 months. He's with us. He's in there in some capacity. So yeah, I think it's great. And it's always the low hanging fruit. You put Punk in Chicago and the place is going to go, batshit crazy. So all good, positive moves, I thought.
And they did. Everybody's talking about that. We'll get into some of the other ones here in a second, but what's your McIntyre Rollins night 2? What happens there? Does Seth finally get defeated and get some rest?
Yeah, I would like to think so. I would like to think that and
you think that would be the case if Drew McIntyre wouldn't have came out with that epic CM Punk storyline?
No, I don't think he would have. I think it would be different. And I think as the the building blocks go and as they fall and things are put back together. But that's the beauty of the WWE. They have so many people that mean something on any given Sunday, right? You can change it, cards subject to change, and at least you're invested in it. So everybody in this has a story. It's not just willy-nilly, let me give Ricochet 3 wins in a row and all of a sudden he's relevant again. It's you have to.
I knew you're going to bring something like that up tonight. I knew you were going to bring something like that up.
You have to, and it's not a shot at Ricochet. I'm just saying.
No, it's not, but he often is a part of this discussion, though.
Right. But all these guys have substance. I think we'll see Seth lose on night 2, which will open up for Drew Punk and give Seth still some maybe a return match in there till Punk is cleared.
Yeah.
And then Seth gets some well-deserved time off.
He does. And I tell you, I caught a lot of heat for saying this. I don't know when it was, but one of the recordings, one of the live streams we had, where I kind of ready for a more serious, different, old style Seth Rollins, right?
Yeah.
Seth freaking Rollins. People got mad when I did that impression. You're not going to get me. Yeah.
I agree.
I like the throwback Seth Rollins, and I think he's a great baby face. I know you don't like the term heel baby face, but to me, that particular way and that showmanship of it is so over the top. And it's just, to me, it's been overdone and it's over the top. So it's starting to get a little bit silly and repetitive. I get it. People sing his song. It's fun, but I'm ready to see a more serious version of him. So my thought is he loses, he comes back, and maybe we get that, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And let's go back for the year that he's been this champion. And you and I have discussed this over this year. We thought this championship belt and everything was just a fart in church. Oh, they're just doing this and all these things. But Steph made this relevant. He made this, mainstream WWE. He made this important. He's made all the nights, all the towns, all the shows. He's done everything he's had to do to make this belt, this championship, relevant. And now you have main players in the mix for it. So despite the character and, people liked it, didn't like it, they always tuned in because back to what Alvarez was saying and you and I talk about, there was something they were going to get from it.
Yeah.
And I believe this is the opportunity. You nailed it on the head. Maybe Seth gets that time off and he comes back as the architect, that Seth Rollins that everybody fell in love with. And because Seth is bar none, the workhorse, he's the man. So I think
Cody Rhodes have literally been the workhorses that last year. I mean,
yeah, he deserves the time off in my opinion. And I think we could see a revamping, not a total character change, but a revamping, and people will welcome him back with open arms when that happens.
There we go. A lot of people saying I'm just anti-Seth. No, I'm not anti-Seth Rollins at all. I watched Tyler Black. I mean, everybody that actually knows me knows I've watched a lot of Ring of Honor and stuff.
You're
like
a Ring of
that.
Honor. Yep.
I'm a longtime fan. That's not the case. Just the presentation has been repetitive.
But could anybody else on the roster pull this off?
No. It's not. We just talked about the last year. Actually, Seth Rollins has been doing this since on this day in pro wrestling history. Just spoiler alert. We're going to share a clip later on, and ever since then, he's been doing this, man.
Right. And then he took this championship belt that everybody, including you and I, everybody crapped on this thing.
We doubted. Yep.
And he showed us up, and I'll be the first one to go. I eat my words on it. And he did an outstanding job with it.
Yeah, he has, and he's always going to have good matches. He's always going to. I mean, he's going to. Everything's going to do right. There's no doubt about that. So that's not an attack at that. It's just like I said. Literally, for me, I'm just ready to see a more serious version of him.
I'm with you. I think it's a good time for a change.
Okay, Steve is asking what do we think will be next for Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes after this match, assuming Cody Rhodes does win? That's a good question on the Cody Rhodes part. I think we can start to piece together the Roman Reigns part eventually, maybe. That's a good question. I think, nobody's talked about it. What happens if he finishes the story? Yep. Is there life to Cody Rhodes after finishing the story? Is there that same impact? So while everybody, I got it. And shout out to my man Dave LaGreca, who's the biggest Cody crybaby in the history of the world. He will lose his ever-loving mind if Cody does not finish the story. The problem with finishing the story is the last two words of the story is the end. Do you go on to write another book? Do you go on to write another? We don't have, as that I can think of, do we have any teasers of an opponent after Roman Reigns?
So it's
there may have been some things plugged in, but nothing's sticking out to me.
It's very interesting that if people that are Cody Rhodes fans, if you sit there and go, man, I never thought about that. He finishes his story. Where's he go now? Does he start a program with Ricochet? What does he do?
What does he do?
What does he do? So there's the flip side, everybody in the Bill DeMott Experience. There's the question for next week's show. Tell us what you think happens if Cody gets to finish his story.
AJ says, absolutely love Cody chasing. Will we love Cody as much when he's being chased? Yeah, that's a great question.
Right.
It's $1 million question, but he's good enough. They're creative enough to figure something out. But to answer the Steve's question, I don't really know what's next. I can start to piece together The Rock and Roman Reigns, but on the flip side of that for Cody Rhodes, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I could also see the twins coming back together and everybody turning.
Maybe Gunther comes along, No. Let's go ahead and go to the next one here. So this is one you and I talked about quite a bit. This is the U.S. title match. Logan Paul versus Randy Orton's been built. Then we finally, I guessed, Kevin Owens would be in the mix. You can't just have the match like they did and the story that they had built, and he's just written out of it. So, how do you feel about I'm not the biggest triple threat match fan, as you know, but you got to get Randy Orton something. And after the work that Kevin Owens and Logan Paul have done, which Kevin Owens has done Logan Paul has done an amazing job, but obviously Kevin Owens is leading that, but you couldn't just drop that, man.
No. And let's be honest. This is WrestleMania time. The one thing that WWE has always tried to do at WrestleMania, at the Super Bowl of professional wrestling, was make sure all the players were involved in some way, shape, or form. If you've been doing your job for 364 days, for X amount of years, and making the town, doing the thing, and you're the soldier, and you're marching on, and you're doing all these things, and then this is the thank you. I think people need to understand that WrestleMania is more than just a big payday for those people who read the internet. It's just a big merchandise. No, WrestleMania is a thank you for all the hard work. And while a lot of people don't think matches are important, I think the matches that are strategically placed in certain spots are to make sure that your main players know that they're appreciated, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. A lot of people probably don't think of it that way.
There's no better, don't get me wrong, the money's great, the payday's good for the night, but if you're involved, that says more than anything else. Doesn't have to be the best storyline in the world or anything else, but in this case, what you're talking about, this is part of the storyline. Owens and Logan Paul, and I agree. I think Owens is what's needed. Randy's gonna take this thing. Then we always can go back to Logan and Kevin, whatever the case is. Now you got to think for Kevin and Randy. Now you got to think for Randy and Logan, and so that's the buildup. I think it's when Kevin was introduced into that thing as a three-way last week, I thought it was really good booking, because it made sense not to just move on from it and throw it away, going back to how we started this show.
Yeah, you couldn't, because they did an absolute fabulous job.
Outstanding. And
that the knuckle, everything was just, you couldn't just go, Kevin Owens is amazing.
Yeah.
But you have Randy Orton, man, one of the best to ever do it. You can't leave him out of the mix. And I think for him to get to be involved with somebody like Logan Paul, because that's the benefit of Logan Paul, right? He does bring extra eyes to the product. So I absolutely think that's a great thing too. So Logan Paul, man, he's got to be in the ring with some cool people, hasn't he?
For all the, I've never had the opportunity to meet him personally. So you go off of what you see on TV, right? And some of the things he says and does on his podcast and all that. I think he's a tremendous personality. But the one thing I can say, I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure of, he's a fan of this business and appreciative of every opportunity he's had since getting involved. And he's gotten so good at it. So hats off to him, because he's been in the ring with the best of the best and continues to deliver when he's given those big opportunities. So good on him.
Got a little north of 400 people here across all platforms. Nice. Let us know what you think about the discussion of WrestleMania 40. We're in the discussion of the U.S. title picture right now. I do think he's been able to pull off this whole part-time champion thing with that title. To me, that title, you can go a couple different approaches with it, but I think Gunther kind of covers it as far as having to be the working title. Yeah. I think it can also be the spectacle title, right? And that's what they've done with it. It's not about the title either necessarily. Right. I think that's what's great about it, and I like that because you just put everything on every single title. Then
right.
Like you said, you just have a match.
Any of those three men will do the same thing with that championship.
You said any of those three men will do the same.
Randy, Kevin, or Logan Paul will do the same thing because it's not necessarily your meat and potatoes championship, near and dear to my heart. I think it's the best one in the world.
Yeah, it's your favorite.
But I think you're right. Not every championship has to be the live or die championship. And so I think they've done an outstanding job with keeping it going and relevant. And the right guy's wearing it right now because he wears it like he's King Midas. So I really, really enjoy what he's doing, what he's done, and what they've done with the U.S. Championship. But this three-way, I'm with you. Sometimes they're really rough. This time last year, we had Sheamus, Drew, and Gunther. Mm-hmm. Was that Mania?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so
five-star match, Bill.
Yeah, you're always going to have that that triple threat match, and no better three guys to have it this year than those guys.
I agree. I think they will get. And if you're Logan Paul, there's really not many two better guys to have that match with than them.
Yeah, hands down.
Get taken care of for sure. I think it'll be entertaining. I think the match will put together well, and it'll be good.
Yeah.
Like I said, triple threats get a little weird for me sometimes, but this one I think will be fine. Let's see. Go to some comments here. A lot of people are asking what's next for Logan Paul after this. What's next for are there all these people? But I don't really necessarily know. I mean, he could branch off with either one of them.
He could branch off with either one of them. He can go back to doing some stuff with The Miz. He can go on to do stuff with LA Knight. He can go on to do stuff with literally Logan Paul could now elevate someone else.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
I agree. He could. Logan Paul has been a huge contributor. Like you said, I think the fulfilling part is how respectful he is to the business. So I think a lot of people, and they embrace that heel with him. He embraces that heel. That's Logan Paul is easy to hate,
Now, you here, let me throw this wrench in there. You come out of WrestleMania and you put Logan Paul against Dom Mysterio, and Logan Paul becomes the biggest babyface in the world.
You think Dom has that much heat?
Yes.
He got punched pretty hard, didn't he, the other day? I think he actually got punched, man. You see his face in that slow-mo? He took a punch from Becky Lynch, man.
This is the one we get to. Hey, Tom, you're just going to have to eat this one, buddy. Sorry.
He did. Then he ate a couple bumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely not afraid to. You got to be good at that kind of stuff to be that kind of a heel, right? I mean, you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on away from this one. Let's talk about the first women's match. I don't know if it'll be the first. I say that's the first on my sheet that we're going to talk about because there's two women matches. That's the way I'm saying it. The Io Sky and Bayley for the WWE. What do they call it? The WWE Women's Championship. I get it mixed up. The other one's Women's World Champion.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you feeling about that? We went hot and heavy with this Damage Control storyline. Bill, when we first started this podcast, well over a year now, you were ready to see Damage Control come to an end. You really want to see it come to an end around SummerSlam.
Yeah.
They kind of revamped and did things here. They started planting the seeds for this long before the event happened here. And now we finally had it where they turn on Bayley. And this is kind of Bayley's moment, man. She's won the Rumble.
Is it?
You tell me. That's why I'm asking.
I probably would be more interested in this match if it wasn't. First of all, again, nothing reflects of the talent whatsoever. Io Sky in that championship means absolutely nothing, in my opinion.
She has overachieved from what you would think, though.
I'm not sure if she has, and I'm talking about her as the champion.
I know. I got
She's an amazing talent.
Yes.
And I'd be far more invested in Io and Bayley as just a wrestling match. And that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it as a championship match. And I know people go, well, Bayley deserves it and she needs to be the champion, all this stuff. Unless you plan on doing something with that championship belt and the championship going forward, then okay, I get it. They lost me again with the Damage Control stuff because I think the story became more about Dakota Kai and Bayley. It's not about the Hitachi Warriors or whatever they're
I'm
called.
gonna get you some Damage Control merch.
Yeah, you know what? If anybody said you get me a 5XL Damage Control shirt, and I'll wear it every week on this show because I'm a Bailey fan, I'm an Asuka fan, I'm an Io fan. I was excited when I don't know what I was excited for. This should be the end of Damage Control. I think this is going to be the end of Damage Control.
Okay, I could say it's got to be, but it isn't. That's not a good way to phrase it.
Jeff, it has to be.
It has to be.
It has to be. Bailey did everything she could. While Dakota Kai came out of the gates strong, it's repetition now. Like, I'm not buying into it. Give me Asuka by herself again. Let Io set the world on fire like she did in that pay-per-view in Puerto Rico against, I believe it was Rhea Ripley. Let these people fly and do what they can do as solo instead of trying to get everybody involved. So I'm not excited about this match. I'm glad that Bailey and Io have that platform. I think they'll tear the house down. But that's as far as it goes for me. It's not something I'm going, I can't wait to see what's next. I personally, and it's not a slight on the talent, big fan of Bailey. Huge fan. I'm not concerned what happens after. I think it's going to be a cluster with people getting involved in it. I wish it was just a clean match. Give those women 12, 15 minutes, whatever they want. 12, 15, 20 minutes. Let them do their thing and let them have their WrestleMania moments and not muddy the waters. But I know that's not going to be the case.
You're going into Bill DeMott robot mode right now.
Yeah, I am.
Cut in and out that Florida internet.
Yeah. Sorry, it's because they know I'm talking about Damage Control.
You're getting canceled right now. How dare you, Bill DeMott? You're so anti-Damage Control. I know I give you crap on that. So that's kind of like a running joke with Bill and I because one of the first discussions we ever had was about Damage Control.
Golly.
And he swore it was over then, and it just keeps going. Okay, so we got all the cronies are on here. They want to know, what do you think? Okay, we've talked about this before, but do you like Bailey better as a heel or babyface? We've talked about this before.
I think Bailey's the ultimate babyface. I think it took a little while for Bailey to get her chops as that heel character, that bad girl character that I don't care.
Ding dong.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah.
But I've always been a fan of the hugger. I mean, you took someone who had the top selling merchandise at the time, media all over the place. People loved her. And I think this is an opportunity, much like we said about Seth and a revamping of the character. I think this is where we could see Bailey go back to being, and maybe not as, and lack of a better word, and here's where I'm going to get in trouble, not as goofy, but more of that fan favorite persona. I think that's where ultimately her money is. And I think that the women's division is missing that really number one strong babyface character that the people all get behind.
Last time your audio, I don't know if you've seen it. Last time your audio was like this, I put underneath you on the post YouTube production, Bill apologizes for his audio. I don't know what's going on right now. Your signal must be getting a little bit.
Is it still going in and out?
Yeah, you're still freezing up and stuff. I don't really.
Oh my gosh! See, on my end, I'm golden. I think I look so.
I don't know what it is, man. You got people commenting along that you're starting to lag up too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, somebody said it's not. Somebody says it is. Hey, as long as he's not, as long as you hear him, that's all that matters. I know what he's going to say already. As bad as that sounds, that's a good question. We've talked about that. I actually do like Bailey as a heel, though. I said that before. I just think it matters. It just depends on the story.
Right. It has to be
but you're right. Maybe they need her on the opposite side, you know?
But so let me ask you this, because that's a great point. I don't think she's done a bad job. I think she found her chops being the bad girl. But tell me what good girls she can go against. Because even the fan favorites aren't good girls. They're bad girls. Rhea Ripley's not a good girl. She's a fan favorite.
She's a good girl. She's crazy about Elvis.
You know, it's one of those things. So I think the women's division needs old school Bailey.
You're going old school Bill here, but apparently you're not freezing on other people's screens. I guess I could get another confirmation on that. But someone said Rhea Ripley is a bad girl. Yeah. That's Chad Michael said that. As we said before, he has a poster of her up in his room. So
Chad, we really got to talk.
Yep. He still has them. Remember that the wrestling magazine used to come out and they would have that posters in them sometimes?
Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah, they'd be like 3 pages. You'd have to make sure you get the wrinkles out of it.
take the staples out of it so you could get it without ripping it.
Yeah, he wants you to get an autograph, a Rhea Ripley autograph for him. Heck, you can buy it on the internet now. They sell.
Yeah, you could probably buy one, but I'd get it for me before I'd get it for you, Chad Michael. I'm a big Rhea fan.
Yeah, obviously we've talked about that, and it's an amazing year, man. Amazing year. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about now the Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Bill, we talked about this last time we recorded. You said not gonna happen. Too late, Jeff. Not possible. I said, Bill, you never know, man. It could still happen. We have some time, but they need to get on it right away, and they did.
I'm going to stick with we're not going to get a matchup.
It is a match, isn't it?
It's scheduled to be a match. I'm going to say we're not going to get a matchup.
You have some explaining to do, Bill DeMott.
I don't think it benefits either one of them to have this match. And I don't think it benefits the bloodline whatsoever to have this match. I think this is the opportunity that sets up for night 2. So I'm not sure what kind of interaction there'll be. I'm going to go way out on a limb and say there's not going to be a match. There's going to be something. There's going to be a confrontation, but there's not going to be a match. I think this could be one of the segments in WrestleMania where people can go, what the hell just happened?
You got 437 people watching live. Could somebody tell me if Bill DeMott is cutting out on your screen as much as he is mine?
Oh, come on.
Because you're going absolutely ham on mine. But
I'm even watching it on Twitter and we're looking so awesome.
Hey, it could just be it isn't cutting out on mine at all. I got 3 people say that. Okay, maybe it's just mine. Hopefully it isn't like this in post, but nevertheless. Jimmy and Jay, man, they teased this all last year.
So I'll put the question back to you. Are you interested in this? Like, what's the repercussions of this match? What's the outcome of this match?
Repercussions of it, I don't know. That hasn't been discussed, really. They went away from it for months. So
right.
They had it there for a while. Then he went to Raw, and what is he called now? What, Jey Uso?
Main Event Jey Uso.
Main Event Jey Uso. How could I forget that? You need one of those shirts, too. But I need a lot of shirts.
Shirt, and I need a damage control.
Yeah, you already have a Bill DeMott Experience shirt, so that's good.
I have that shirt. I'm going to wear it next week.
We talked about this storyline quite a bit of the last year. It did die down some.
Yep.
I just think if you got to fill it hard with matches and you're not really prepared to this could have been something good that you could have gone to later, if done right.
I believe there's a mindset. This bloodline story has been so strategically operated on and so strategically placed and moved around. I believe that this match, this confrontation, this encounter is going to have a big role in the WrestleMania weekend. I just don't think it's going to be the fact that it's Jimmy versus Jay. That has to tie into something else. Otherwise, what's the outcome? Jay's out of the bloodline? Well, he's already out, right? If Jimmy's out of the bloodline, then Jimmy's on an island by himself. But they already did that. Jimmy was back in because he became the quarterback and he's calling the play. So I think there's more to it. I'm looking forward to it because I believe there has to be something more to this than just Jimmy versus Jay.
I would hope so. Somebody's asking, who do you think has done better individually, Jimmy or Jay? Jimmy or Jay?
Jay.
Jay? Do you think that's because he's better or is the way he's been presented?
Well, he's been presented that way. Jimmy was by himself for a hot second and then was riding with Solo and then was doing everything to get back in the good graces of the wise man and the tribal chief. And Jimmy had to go out on his own, and you see his entrance and the people. Geez, you see Pat McAfee on his entrance every week. It's unbelievable. So Jimmy, Jay's got that thing to him, and I think it's been strategic. And I think you could see a full Usos reunion here.
It is. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. I just think it might not be WrestleMania. You haven't. The presentation of it's kind of come together way too freaking fast.
Yeah.
Could have been a good SummerSlam thing, Could have been next year.
I think it's a setup for night 2 of WrestleMania.
Okay, so you think this could be a night 1 thing, then it actually plays into what's going to go down in night 2. Hey, that's a good prediction, Bill DeMott. It's a very good prediction. Let's go to another match that's kind of been thrown together. LA Knight and AJ Styles.
I got nothing. I don't. I think AJ Styles, the new age, Mr. WrestleMania. AJ Styles, phenomenal. LA Knight's momentum, I think, has, I don't want to say peaked, maybe kind of plateaued. I also don't think there's been a lot of push into this match either. It doesn't have the advertising that the other matches have. I think it has the potential to be a good match. I'm not sure if the storyline is strong enough to go past WrestleMania. So again, making sure your stars and everybody that puts the asses in its seats are on the show. Yes. Do I think it's going to be a mainstay? I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Somebody's pointing out what you said earlier, Bill. They said you can't contradict yourself because you talked about how there's more to WrestleMania, like getting those involved.
Yeah, and that's what I say. So you get them involved. They had a bit of a storyline with the Randy Orton, right? The three of them and all these things that were going on. So you have a bit of a storyline that you can do that and put those men on WrestleMania. And I think that's kind of what it does. I don't put a lot of stock into the story after it. I don't think there was a big enough story before it.
Yeah, we had that four-way dance. What do they call that? Fatal four-way match.
Yeah, that fatal four-way. And, I stand by what I said earlier. I think it's an opportunity to get people on the show.
I guess the fact that somebody gets somebody eliminated in the Elimination Chamber is enough to carry on a storyline forever.
Right.
How many storylines can go that way, right? We already have the other one with Orton and Logan Paul. I'm with you there. I'm a massive AJ Styles fan for a really long time. Obviously, I mean, I've known a lot of the work that LA Knight's done too, but yeah, I think it's just that's the match they put together for these two guys to have them on.
You have 2 nights to fill. Let's not forget you have 2 nights to fill. And then AJ Styles is going to give you action every time. So,
yep. No, I'm sure they'll put together a decent. They'll put together
a side note is I read, not I heard, not I was told. I read that LA Knight himself said there's not a lot of steam behind this thing, so he doesn't think it's going to be an attraction.
It's not yeet. Is that what you're telling me?
It's not yeet.
Okay, we'll move on to that one because I'm with you there. Not a whole lot of comments coming in. Not a whole lot to say about it on my end as well. It'll certainly fill some time on the card, though, and they'll do a good job. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I do hope both of these guys can get into some good storylines as we go into the next year. But then again, how many can you have going on at once? So,
right.
Intercontinental Championship match, Gunther. I call him Gunther. I know you go Gunther versus Sami Zayn. Oh, we talked about this last time we recorded. Man, Sami Zayn was so hot last year. He's still pretty hot, but man, can they
get him on the card?
Got him on the card, and I kind of like this whole storyline they've done with Chad Gable.
Yes,
Chad Gable's trying to help him out. Where do you think that goes?
I think it goes where Sami Zayn, who's an MVP guy in my opinion on the WWE roster.
Yes,
Sami Zayn beats Gunther, and then Chad Gable beats Sami Zayn. Because I can see Chad and Sam here, and I'm going to go by the kind of the way the WWE machine used to work is, and Chad Gable beat Gunther. They had great matches.
He should have beat him.
Is right. But it's still that big man, smaller man mentality.
Couldn't they carry that over to Mania if they'd done it right?
Oh my gosh. I thought that's where they were going. For months I've said that's where I thought they were going. And I would have paid to see this match. But I think putting Sami in, again, not really involved in storylines so much right now, but he gets to be part of WrestleMania. So here's your WrestleMania match. I think Sami could upset Gunther because now you could take Gunther and put him into that Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk scenario, or Cody Rhodes and or Roman Reigns. Gunther belongs in one of those pictures, in my opinion. And then you can get Chad Gable back elevated, and Sami and Chad could burn the house down. So I think it's one of those matches that let's get Sami on Mania. I know a lot of people were upset across the board that Chad Gable didn't win it and was going to go against Gunther. So I think it's another opportunity where 3 guys are going to benefit from this match.
I agree. I'm going to try to remove you, then add you again. See if that helps this lag. That
Okay.
Doesn't look like it. Still look like you're on like a 1999 webcam.
Really? I look so good right now.
It might just be my end. I don't know. But I'm with you there. Obviously, I'm a massive Sami Zayn guy. I think he's going to do amazing no matter what.
Oh,
And I do wish Chad Gable would have beat Gunther, but I think Sami Zayn can. A lot of people are asking this kind of like the theme of the night, what would be next for Gunther? I don't know. I do think you could have some amazing matches, like you said, though, between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. That they would tear the house down, absolutely.
But I think the next step for, having Roman Reigns hold the title for so long means a lot more than having Gunther hold the title for so long. You're only going to get so much traction out of that. I think Gunther's been in the gate, ready to run for a long time now, and I think after Mania, he's involved in one of those scenarios we talked about just earlier with the two, either championship.
Checking on something real quick. Okay, let's go to some comments here real quick.
Okay.
So what we got here. This comment is from Eric. Wants to know, do you think that his cronies, as you call them, Imperium, will get involved in the match?
No.
Or are we past that now?
I think
we're out to Gunther.
Yeah, I think we're past it. I actually think they've allowed people to forget about it.
You think they kind of done that on purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the easy way. You don't need because the Gunther character is so strategic and serious and everything, you don't break up that faction. You just kind of dismiss it. And I think that's one of those factions that you see just kind of go apart on its own. That doesn't really bother you in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's a huge upside to the one cat, not Da Vinci, the other cat.
Yeah.
I think there's a huge upside to him coming up.
I agree. Okay, what's the next question here? Does Gunther, this is from Cody, does Gunther challenge Cody Rhodes?
Yes, why not? I think Gunther challenges either champion. But I think Gunther could
I always forget what shows they're on. They're supposed to have rosters for show, right?
Yeah. I think yes. My answer is yes. I think Gunther and Cody.
Does Cody take that bad boy back to Raw? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I think it gets back to that thing again where they're going to be on every show. And
yeah, we could go down that rabbit hole all day, every freaking day. And we do a lot of times. We won't go there right now. I think it's going to be a good match, though, man.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn is the ultimate underdog, and I will say that to the day I die.
He's a fan favorite. He delivers. He gives you everything he's got, and the people appreciate him. And he's freaking gold, man. Wherever you put him, he's gold.
He is. Bill, the match that I know you're looking most forward to, the whole WrestleMania card, would be the 6-pack tag team ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. Judgment Day versus DIY versus Awesome Truth versus New Day. And have we figured out the last 2 teams yet?
No, they're coming up tomorrow night on Friday night. Yeah,
that's right. What do you think of, Bill? I know that you're more excited about this match than any other.
Yeah, it's the match. You're going to put 12 guys to work at WrestleMania, and this is going to be your car crash.
Does WrestleMania have to have that now, the way we've presented it for the last 25 years?
Yeah, I think so. And I think with 2 nights, it's a good break in all the action and storylines and things like that. One, like I said, everybody deserves to be out there. If you look at the teams that are there and what has been done or hasn't been done, true soldiers of the company, no matter what. And let's find a place and a spot for them. And they're all going to deliver, no matter who the last 2 teams are or not. I think this is your car crash for whatever night it's on, and it's going to entertain the crap out of the fans.
Are you anticipating an epic R-Truth moment?
Yes.
I'm always anticipating an epic R-Truth.
I'm going to go out on a limb and publicly say that 98% of all fans that are watching WrestleMania live or on TV are specifically waiting for what R-Truth does.
Oh, yeah, I agree. You never know. He's awesome, yeah. What a great comeback. I'm so happy. I really am.
Yeah, I love Ronnie.
Who's leaving the match with the titles? The Awesome Truth?
No.
I don't think so.
Because then you'd have to keep him and Miz together.
Did Judgment Day keep this going? Is the New Day ready to take the reins back on this?
Well, I don't.
Is DIY? Man, it's a damn shame they couldn't get the brothers in there.
Well, don't they have? Isn't Dawkins and Montez Ford, aren't they involved in this as well?
That's why I was asking earlier. But what am I missing?
I think they're involved in this as well.
What am I missing? Are they involved in it? It shows you how much of a clutter it is already. It shows you how much of a clutter this is already.
Right. It'd be hard to say because, to be honest, and I'll ask you one of these things, I come back to you and go, have they really done anything with the tag team titles that they mean that much that we care about who the next champions are?
They sure did last WrestleMania, but that was storyline based.
Yeah.
But still, those tag team titles were precious to the Usos.
Yeah, and who were we talking about earlier that could be coming back together? That the Usos can beat after WrestleMania, become tag team champions? I'm just saying.
Damage Control?
Damage Control versus the Usos.
Yep. They'll definitely be together again one day. There's no doubt about that, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this will be a spectacle. I really liked when Money in the Bank was in this, but they've just made that. They just cash cowed the heck out of Money in the Bank.
Or they totally blindsided us, and Damian Priest cashes in at WrestleMania.
I was trying to segue to that because a question a listener said, have you guys talked about Damian Priest yet? So I was segueing to that, Bill. You beat me to it, Bill DeMott. I'm waiting for Damian Priest could insert himself and take Seth Rollins, or Drew McIntyre beats Seth Rollins and Damian Priest then beats Drew McIntyre. You don't think he's going for the Cody side of things?
It's low-hanging fruit to go for Cody.
Well, last WrestleMania, Bill, you had a pretty bad prediction. You weren't very accurate in a lot of these matches.
Yeah, I was rotten last year.
Yeah.
I guarantee that this year I'm not as bad as I was last year.
We'll have to go back and score it out, but I don't think you will be either. Yeah, you're right. This Damian Priest thing, it's got to be time soon, but when and where, we don't know.
I think him and Balor have run their course. I think Judgment Day has run its course. I also don't like Judgment Day and what are they called, the Testimony or whatever, that other faction that I really don't have any stock in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of factions I don't have any stock in.
I think Damian Priest is going to have a hell of a night at WrestleMania.
Ooh, you heard the prediction there. Write it down. I'm writing it down. Damian Priest beating The Rock and Roman. He's going to beat them all.
And
all of them. No, he is going to have a good night. I think this will be this tag team match just seems so, it's just going to be a spectacle. I guess that's all I can say about it. It's going to be
crash.
You're telling me that they put these shows together strategically, build them all? Like this is going to be strategically, okay.
Yes, this gives 12 men the WrestleMania platform, and they're going to deliver exactly what this. There's some storyline driven matches. Agreed or disagree?
Yeah,
there's some good heavy storylines. We haven't even talked about Becky and
the last thing
we haven't talked about. All the things that are still going on. So you need this match to clean the palate. You know what I mean? This is like a good drink of water to get the taste out of your mouth, to get sucked right back in. And some of those guys in this 6-pack to make a challenge thing, i.e. Damian Priest, are going to have something else going on at WrestleMania. So this match is strategically put there because you need that balance of entertainment, that sports, all that stuff has to come into play. Pro wrestling, sports entertainment, all these things.
All of them.
In 2 nights. You have 2 nights of it. So there's got to be something on each night to clean the palate, and this 6-pack challenge is one of them.
Trying to play cleanup here. Yeah, people said there will be a lot of pain. Yes, there'll be a lot of spots, there'll be a lot of crazy moments.
Yeah.
Too bad we can't get the Hardys back in time, right?
Oof.
Okay, yep, that's a lot of people are just excited about just seeing what will actually actual action inside the match. So
yeah.
Can't disagree with that. Let's go to the last match we're going to discuss here. Women's World Championship match. Mommy Rhea Ripley versus the man, Becky Lynch. Ric Flair approved the man, Becky Lynch. I'm excited, Bill.
This is going to be a good match. Damn near, this is going to be a great match. For me, the writing's on the wall. Rhea retains. Becky has bigger fish to fry.
Isn't Becky the ultimate like doing this whole like I'm going to defy the odds sort of?
Yeah,
she's like kind of like Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
more established championship history, but like the ultimate. I don't even say underdog, just fighting against the odds.
Yes, that she's just the what they say the honest man's hero, right? Everybody wants to see that person, but I'm much more intrigued with Becky chasing than Becky holding the championship. And Rhea Ripley to me is just on fire. To the point where, listen, I don't think Rhea needs that title anymore.
We talked about the lack of her use year prior to last year.
Yeah,
that's just not the case anymore, man.
Yeah, Rhea's everywhere, established herself in every aspect of everything she's involved in, from the Judgment Day to Dom to her singles things to what she's doing as a champion. So I think this is going to be
Judgment Day,
outstanding match.
Yep.
But I think Rhea retains.
Rhea retains. This is one I'm on the fence about. No. I don't know what would I. So you said Becky has bigger fish to fry. So who and what does that mean?
So are you more into? So let me ask you this, and here's how I'm going to answer your question. Are you more interested in Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley, or Jade Cargill versus Becky Lynch?
Becky Lynch.
There you go. Bigger fish to fry.
Okay, I'll take it, Bill DeMott. I'm not going to argue with that. You should be a booker, man. Look at you.
Wait a minute. Where's my pencil?
Yep, you would be right. You'd actually be writing it down too. Get all these technology these days. You'd be writing it down. Yeah. Yep, exactly.
I have my yellow pad right here.
Is this going to get a 5-star rating?
Yeah,
we talked about last year how the girls match should have got a 5-star rating for Dave Meltzer.
I think this is get a 5-star rating.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't last year, man. It should have.
I think this year is going to get it.
It should have last year, man. I'm telling you.
It was a great match.
We're not having Charlotte Flair in the pay-per-view, isn't it? And the PLE.
Yeah. Well, but look how, going back to our earlier conversations on the night, no Punk, no Charlotte Flair, all these things that they don't have, and look what they do have.
Yeah.
This is the difference between one and the other.
Bill DeMott, somebody's asking you a question here. Ask Bill, Steve again, ask Bill if he thinks the women's tag team titles should be left out.
I think that, are they on the show?
I don't even have.
But that answer, to me, that answers the question. I wouldn't miss them if they weren't on the show, and then it probably opens the door for probably more criticism than critique if they were on the show.
A lot of you are listening there. Tell us if they're on this show. I don't really.
Yeah, I to be honest,
I've got lost in the show.
I don't even know who the women's tag team champions are, to be honest with you.
Well, there you go.
And that's a shame that I don't know that, but I really don't know who the women's tag team champions are.
I don't know, but I'm going to say that Chelsea Green is awesome as a co-tag team champion.
Listen, if Chelsea Green's not on WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form, it's a travesty.
They got to start utilizing her more.
She's the new age. If nothing else, I think Chelsea Green is the new age Sherry Martel.
Oh.
If they do nothing else with her.
Those of you listening, you have heard Bill DeMott's predictions. We will note them all down, and of course, we will critique them, critique the hell out of them post WrestleMania. I can't wait. I hope there's one thing that he's just way off on, so I can give him some crap.
There's
but I think we can all agree, all of us listening live, and all of you listening or watching later, watching live. We are all excited about this, man, and that is what WWE is just hitting all these home runs. They're just absolutely knocking it out of the park. And this is another example of that. They've got us talking about it. They've got us talk. So in the beginning of this show, yes, we're going to do On This Day in Pro Wrestling History before we leave, by the way. Somebody's asking.
Yes.
But at the beginning of this show, we talked about AEW and the lack of substance, the lack of stories. And we're not having that same conversation here as we talk about WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mentioned it on a few matches that don't have it, but there are so many other compelling stories inside of these two nights that, and Jimmy J, that's fine. We can get that. The LA Knight, AJ Styles, that'll be a good match. But there's a lot of other stories, man.
Yeah, there's just a ton of talent and storytellers and amazing athletes, men and women. And to me, the payoff of WrestleMania, not just for the fans who are going to get an amazing 2 nights an experience, but for the men and women who get to participate in this thing. And the payoff as a former producer, I had so much fun, and it was so intense trying to produce your matches for WrestleMania, to see them go off the way the talent wants them to go. I mean, this is where I can speak from personal experience. Like, it's just an amazing thing. It's a tough, listen, that week of WrestleMania is a grueling thing. You have media, you have this, guys and girls have their significant other with them, and they still don't see them, even though they're with them at the same hotel, because there's so much that goes into this, and so much time and preparation and emotion and caring about it. Like, you can't help but get excited about WrestleMania time. But to your point, there's so many things that can happen that's what we're talking about. And we talk about it with energy, excitement, like, wow, it's this, and this. And if we go back to the beginning of the show, it's only this. Only this can happen, or I wish you would do this. So, and I know all those men and women in the AEW roster are going to be watching WrestleMania and rooting and critiquing and criticizing and all these other things. But man, if they could just adapt a little bit of that formula instead of fighting the system, imagine what they could do with it if they jumped on board with what works.
You're all about the system, the process.
All about the process, man.
Well said. We'll get into the On This Day in Pro Wrestling History now, and before we close up shop. Encourage you to check out On This Day in Pro Wrestling History. I have it on my social media, Podcast Father. On Twitter, I think I actually have its own thing. But yeah, you got it. Bill loves these, so we continue to do them. The listeners enjoy this. We'll pick 5 things on this day in Pro Wrestling History that happened. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the first. Let me start queuing it up here. Got it. This is Monday, so the 25th. This took place in 2020. The Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles was the main event in WrestleMania. What was that, 36? Night 1. Notable event there. We'll talk about cinematic matches when we come back and how you feel about them, Bill, but let's go ahead and take this one in. So again, this match, which aired at WrestleMania, was taped on March 25th, 2020.
I'm digging your grave for you. What you think? Get up, boy. You wanted this. Come on. Tough guy. Take. Son of a bitch. Hey, dead man. Use a shovel? All right, let's use a shovel. You got what it takes, old man. You're a lot tougher. I give you credit for it. I'm sorry. Come here, man. There's a lot of people that ain't give me that fight. You good, brother.
I was proud of that edit there. I feel like I got a minute to get it all in. I feel like I did.
Nice job.
Bill, what did you think? Okay, so this is obviously a different time, COVID and everything. You couldn't do an Undertaker match at the Performance Center with no audience. Was this a good alternative?
Absolutely. This is something that you can't do all the time. You can't even do it every other year. You can't do it every 5 years. To me, this was a once in a lifetime thing. And it goes back to the mindset of what can we do because of what we can't do. I thought it was outstanding. I thought it was
well edited too. Yeah. The production of this was great. I think, well, let's talk about the, when he punched through that window and that piece of glass sticking out of his arm. Wasn't fake there.
No. Somebody forgot the sugar glass on that one.
Jeez Louise, Jack Perry would be proud.
Yeah, I mean, freaking, what's his name? Sting's manager would really like that.
Sting's manager, Darby Allin.
Darby Allin. But I thought it was really, really well done. I think when you hear something like that, right away you go to hokey when you hear it.
Yeah.
But when you see it and you watched it, well done. But like I said, that's a once in a lifetime deal.
This main evented the night one. Now, I will say the Firefly Fun match didn't quite do it for me like this one did.
Right. I agree with that. I'd say the same thing. And so this is not something you can replicate and go, you know what, let's do something special. No, that was a Taker special. Hats off to AJ and the OC and, you know, Taker's Taker. And I think they made it all. That was amazing.
Couldn't fit in the minute, but him driving off into the night on the bike was all great ending as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
This takes place on the 26th of March, and this was in 2001. Vince McMahon revealed on a live broadcast of both Raw and Nitro at the same time. I think Nitro was in Panama City, if I remember correct.
Yes.
That he had purchased WCW and announced that he had bought out his competition. During this segment, Vince McMahon's son and upcoming WrestleMania opponent, Shane McMahon, announced that he was the owner, kayfabe owner, of WCW. Let's go ahead and watch this. You were there, man. You probably remember all this.
Yeah, I see it in my sleep.
Damn it, I'm Vince McMahon. I own WCW. I own the WWF, and you will treat me with respect, or I'll walk out of this arena. No chance.
Oh my! And Mr. McMahon running for a fight with his own son. Shane McMahon is on Nitro.
Your ego has gotten the best of you. I mean, Dad, you wanted to finalize this deal. Well, Dad, that's just the opportunity that I was looking for. The deal is finalized, and the name on the contract does say McMahon. Shane McMahon.
Oh my God!
I now own WCW.
And Mr. McMahon is in absolute shock.
We've talked about these moments before in a lot of episodes. This is another one. I think we've actually touched up on this before.
Yeah.
What was this like? Absolutely chaotic?
Probably should have been more chaotic back behind the scenes than it was. It was very surreal. It was very, wow, this is really happening. The same reaction that people had that were watching it live was the reaction of the people that were there live. And I'm talking about the men and women of WCW. So it was very, very surreal. I won't forget that night for a long time.
What about the storyline and how it was presented?
Hate it.
You didn't like it?
It
became a McMahon storyline?
This is the one thing about WrestleMania that's upsetting to me in my gut. In my heart, my gut hurts at WrestleMania time because if you're lucky enough in this business to have a WrestleMania moment, you hold on to that and it's like near and dear to you and you feel like you've done something, right? And I think a lot of people gauge you on what live events you're on and then, you know, the pay-per-views and all these things, the championships. And we had an opportunity at WrestleMania 17 to stand in the middle of that ring with Shane McMahon. And we've talked about it and we can go down that rabbit hole again sometime else, but it never came to be. And my WrestleMania moment wound up being a silhouette of me sitting next to Lance Storm and a few other guys in a press box eating freaking cheese and day-old crackers. And that was my WrestleMania moment. And I never got to capture that again as an in-ring talent. So that's always the one thing about WrestleMania that gets me upset. But then these conversations are what reminds me why WrestleMania is so great. So, I'll remember that day forever.
We will get into the invasion of long form one day.
Jeez.
Because that's requested all the time. It's not Bill's favorite topic. It's just how this was executed. Then actually several months later, this is when they actually started implementing these characters and stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of done really weird.
Yeah. It was definitely bum rushed.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one here. This is 27th of March. This takes place in 1988. This is, just to put it in simple terms, Macho Man gets his first WWF championship here. Defeated Ted DiBiase. This came off of the main event program that happened prior with the whole Andre the Giant defeating. Yeah, the whole... I think it was in Indianapolis. An insane amount of people watched that, man. So this actually had a storyline going into it, and Macho Man's able to come away with it here. Let's watch it.
He's up there on the top. He's going for the elbow. The flying elbow now. He missed it. He may not have enough in him. DiBiase going for the sleeper hold. There it is. He's got it on. Oh, look out. Here comes the Hulkster. Oh, and he clobbered him in. That's terrible. suit. I can't believe Hogan would stoop to that level. I cannot believe Hogan would stoop to that level.
The flying elbow. Hooks the leg. It's over. We have a new champion. Undisputed World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, Randy Macho Man Savage.
This was obviously built up in a tournament manner to get to this point. A tournament. It was kind of a weird WrestleMania, to be honest. Payoff was good in the end, though, man.
Yeah. It's
everybody wanted to see the Macho Man win that, man.
And everybody out there was red hot. So it wasn't like you couldn't foresee what was going to happen because you had Andre, Hulk, DiBiase, Elizabeth, Macho Man. But to your point, everybody wanted to see Savage win that title. So
yeah, no, it was an awesome moment. Yeah. Actually, I mean, really. Now the build up to it and taking the title away after the whole thing and buying the title and a little much for me, but at the end of the day, that payoff was there, man. It was a big payoff. So everybody wanted to see the Macho Man, man.
Yeah.
Let's go to the 28th. This is WrestleMania 26, I believe. It's 2010. It was the main event, the Streak versus the Career. You may remember this build up. Let's take a watch.
Watch it, Streak! It's over! The Streak is over! Michaels has done it! No! What? He's looking to put the feet out of the way! Sweet chin music! No! Home! Choke slam! Oh my God! Undertaker again going for a tombstone pile driver! Trying to try the career of Michaels! The career of Shawn Michaels! Is, oh no! He's going out his defense!
That look of disbelief on the face of the Undertaker has turned into a look of rage!
Tombstone! Here's the cover! The Undertaker is in Pino! Shawn Michaels' career is over.
It wasn't as good as a match, in my opinion, as the year before. They had one of the best matches ever, in my opinion, the year before. But man, what a story! What an emotional time! What an emotional moment! Is there a better guy for Michaels to lose to?
No. It's here's the thing that watching it now with you that I never really paid attention to before. That last pile driver. Did you see how Undertaker jumped into that one?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the little nuances that are missing now. Like, I hit it, he kicked, we went through it, we're telling me the story, the difference between now and then, right? Now we just do it and we do it the same way, it doesn't matter that. He put such, exaggerated movement into that. But I mean, there's no possible way for me to sit here and go, well, what if this, what if that? I'm just going, this is amazing. That's amazing stuff. And to me, that's what the WrestleManias were truly about, to have those matches, especially with Taker and the Streak and all the things. And if one guy, you thought if there was one guy at the time that was going to end, it was going to be Shawn Michaels.
Streak should have never ended, Bill.
Should have never, ever, ever ended. But that's a whole different story. So
yeah, we'll go down that rabbit hole.
That's that was a great match.
It was. Year before was really great. That was great too. Man, you could almost feel it. Like that whole Shawn Michaels is an amazing storyteller. He's amazing selling. Him being like, just put me out of my misery, Then when he wouldn't react, he slapped him and obviously got a reaction. But you have to really trust somebody to let them do a jumping tombstone like that.
Jeez, Lou.
What a crazy moment, man. Let's cue up the last one here. This is on the 29th, the WrestleMania 31, I believe. A lot of things happened in this show. It was pretty eventful. It's also a notable show. I believe this is when Sting, we're not going to show it. We've talked about Sting's run at WWE. I think this is a match he had with Triple H, if I remember correctly. I think it's also Ronda Rousey made her first WWE appearance, really.
At the same time?
It was in a moment with the segment with Stephanie McMahon and The Rock in it.
Oh, yeah.
Segment. It wasn't a match, but
right.
A lot going on in here. But going into the very end here, there was this moment here during the championship match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Crazy how long Roman Reigns has been in this title picture, isn't it?
It really is.
My opinion, the most notable cashing into the Money in the Bank title ever. Second would be Edge, but that's another story for another day. Here we go.
Lesnar stunned. Reigns. Caught. Lesnar. Elbow. This is brilliant. Seth Rollins. This is brilliant.
Seth Rollins is cashing in his money in the bank. This will now be a triple threat match.
A triple threat.
He's going to finish him. Taking no chances here at all.
Quick right on the curb stop. Reigns with a spear. Curb stop to Reigns. Cover by Rollins. Rollins with the title. Rollins with the title.
Wait a minute.
The new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins.
First time in WrestleMania history, someone's cashed in money in the bank and walking.
I set that up earlier in the show, right? When I talked about Seth, we were talking about Seth Rollins being the workhorse.
Right.
It's 9 years ago, man.
That's the guy you want to see again.
Yeah. I mean, that's the guy. I mean, that's my favorite Seth Rollins, but that's how long he's been doing it, man. You alluded to that. And I told you we'd have an example later. And that's when really everything was in motion for him to go on this amazing run that he's had.
Yeah. And just to sit there and look at the three men in that match. Oh, really? Was that really? They've really been around that long?
Yeah. And Roman Reigns is in, I don't know, a couple years prior to this, he was in title pictures.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But you're right. Great cash in. And
is that your favorite?
I think so.
The Edge one's pretty great too, though.
Yeah. I think this is a good one.
Mr. Kennedy got screwed. Mr. Kennedy got screwed on that one. Anyway, that's another story for another time too. What about that run down there, man? At least he ran, right? Didn't walk. Like Royal Rumble style.
Yeah.
What a long haul.
Take your time to it. And he was moving.
Yeah. JBL just being vintage JBL on commentary too.
I see he belongs in the commentary at WrestleMania too next week.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixed feelings on how JBL on commentary, but I always thought JBL's like the ultimate heel, dude.
Yeah. And he's
entertaining. You don't want that guy to win.
Out.
You think he's a chicken shit. You don't want him to win. He's a legitimate tough guy, but presentation of that heel character is always amazing.
That character, yep.
That brings us to the end of this stream, end of this episode, stuff, man. Those are 5 pretty cool events.
Yeah, I do. I truly enjoy the on this day. I like when you pull them up, and like I said, always good to watch that stuff. And it like the one with Taker and Shawn, you look at it and go, wow. That's something that you never really paid attention to, and you just see things differently now. And so that's a good segment. I'm glad we do it. I'm glad you're out there doing that all week long.
We couldn't do this, of course, without all of you. You guys have held on through this whole stream. You're still here watching across 8 or 9 different platforms. We appreciate the hell out of you. Obviously, we do it because I think the live streaming portion of it, it's been like a good revamp of it, right? Yeah. It's added another element to it. You know, Bill and we do need to get back to some more long form stuff, but it's really hard to beat this interaction in the moment, Bill.
Yeah, I think it's great when you first proposed doing it. What seems like yesterday, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, this could be challenging, and so everybody understands it's challenging for you. It doesn't challenge me at all, but I appreciate the work that you put into it. I think a lot of people who think we do this once a week, but you're working on it the other 6 days. And a shout out to everybody who stayed with us live and continues to follow what we do and tune in, and for the amazing questions and the fan base that's continues to grow. Thank you so much. Hopefully we don't disappoint you ever, and you keep spreading the word. But yeah, I love this live aspect to it, and all the platforms we're on now. So as always, thank you, Jeff, and well done.
Yeah, check in with us after WrestleMania to get all critique of Bill DeMott's picks.
Oh God.
In the meantime, check out all the content Jeff Townsend Media has to offer. Check out the YouTube. Check out Jeff Townsend.
Yes.
Yeah. .media is our website. So all sorts of different shows, different kinds of content. But Bill, I'm a big wrestling fan, man, and this is a fun one. And it was another awesome week.
Yeah, good week.
check out the Carrie Ann DeMott Foundation, the work that Bill and the family and the team, we'll just say team, is doing there. Work's a weird way to phrase it, but I'm talking about the effort and the difference that you're making.
Yeah.
I'm implying that kind of work, if that makes sense, Bill.
Yeah, that what we try to say is, the mission and the message, right?
Yeah.
But thank you for that. Yeah, we're especially busy this time of year, as it gets into prom and graduation time, around the country. We have some major conferences we're booked to speak at, and we're constantly busy. So this two reasons why I love this so much is, one, I love to talk about wrestling, especially with you, Jeff, and then this is my safe haven from what we do on a daily basis with the foundation, because it's not a lot of times it's not pleasurable. It's just necessity. So I love this show. I love the Bill DeMott Experience live with you, Jeff, and I love everybody who's doing it. And we get a lot of messages, and I appreciate it, from people who send a tweet or an Instagram message asking about the foundation or sending some love and prayers our way. So keep that up. That helps a lot for us, and it really doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate that very much as well.
I will say one thing, Bill. When this outro hits, the black screen at the end is just giving me time to close everything out. The stream, I go back and you're always gone. But the black screen is my cue to shut down the stream across everywhere. It takes about 10 seconds, but when I come back, you're always gone.
I always feel like, oh, he hung up on me. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not hung up on you. You hang up on me. I've been meaning to tell you that like the last 4 times, but I haven't. So.
Oh, gosh.
Bill, you hit what you have to say. I'll hit what I have to say.
Hey, do what you say what you mean what you do.
And keep being you, and keep being great.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back? Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?